Welcome to Pretty Smart 2, the show where beauty isn't just skin deep, but still glows. Today, I get a chance to talk with Marisol Lunsford, DMK's LA and OC skin boss, aka account manager, about confidence in the treatment room, leveling up your skills, and why the best investment you can make is in you. Let's get into it with the good stuff. Hello and welcome to Pretty Smart 2. Today we have a special guest, Marisol Lunsford. She's here with us from DMK, and Brandy, unfortunately, is not able to make it today. She has some work obligations back in Arkansas, but we will get started. And I would like to read your bio and then we can get going. Perfect. Marisol Lunsford is a licensed esthetician, international educator, and respected leader with DMK Skin Revision. With a background rooted in hands on experience and advanced training, she empowers skin therapists to evolve into confident skin revision experts. Known for simplifying the science behind DMK's renowned protocols, Marisol blends education, mentorship, and leadership to help professionals build both skill and self belief. Passionate and approachable, she inspires estheticians worldwide to invest in themselves and embrace their power to create real change. Welcome, Marisol, to Pretty Smart 2. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for that excellent bio. I really like it. It made me sound fancier than I feel I am, so I appreciate it. I'm good to
I,
be here.
you're very fancy. I absolutely adore your education classes and speaking with
Thank
you
you.
and keeping up with you. You're very fun and interesting. And our subject today is confidence in the treatment room. And Marisol came up with that subject for us, and it just totally encapsulates what you do. The way your hands-on approach to education, your humor in the classroom. I've had the privilege of attending several of your classes, and they're always inspiring and educational and fun. And I really appreciate the hands-on because that's how I learn is hands-on. And so you do everything. You show us the visual presentation, you talk to us one-on-one, and then you do hands-on. And, that just makes all the difference in the world. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciate you very much. And
thank
thank
you.
you for being here. Yes, yes.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So before we get into the juice of the episode, I guess, or in the heart of the episode, I think it's interesting that you and I have so much in common, you
Yeah,
know?
definitely.
So you went to Santa Monica College for your
Yes,
aesthetics. See,
yes,
and I did also.
yeah.
How long have you been an esthetician?
21, no, 18 years
Okay.
licensed.
Yeah.
I think
Perfect.
18 years licensed, yeah.
So I've been an esthetician for 20. So yeah, so we were there right about the same
Yeah,
time.
it's a
So
long-standing program, so
yeah.
yeah, it's been around a long time.
Yeah, I really liked going there. I don't know if you did. I had looked at some of the more expensive schools, and I was impressed that they had a lot of the same educators from those expensive schools that were there at Santa Monica College. And so I felt like, I was kind of getting a very similar education.
It was truly, I went to college. I graduated from a four-year college, and
Hmm.
after that, I went to get my license, and I think I may have chosen differently had I graduated high school and went immediately into aesthetics to get my license. I probably would have done something fancier just for the feeling. I
Yeah.
definitely lost that feeling after paying for college and wanting to continue any kind of education or certification or whatever it might be. I was looking for value per dollar.
Yep.
And at the time, so was it 18 years? Schwarzenegger was like governor, had been, what, there
Yeah.
was like a grant. I paid next to nothing. I paid for my kit, and that's pretty much it. I didn't even pay for units. And I thought it was an absolute steal. And I tell people about it still to this day because I think, and what we are going to be speaking about quite a bit, is that really aesthetic school, if you have an internal drive, aesthetic school gets you licensed. It gets you licensed, it gets you your hours, and you really, with continued education, passion, grow to be the fantastic, service provider that you can be. Truly, the school sometimes does that. There are some fantastic schools, but they're expensive, and it's already expensive to start a business. So I really do encourage, if you have that independent drive,
Mhm.
to look at your local community college and see the program that they offer.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agreed. Same. I was an adult and when I went back to school and went to college and then same thing. I was just like, I can't I don't want to get another loan. I don't want these
Yeah,
loans. So
no,
it was such a blessing and just like incredible that they had that and that they still have it. And so yeah,
I
so
was
that's great.
confused. I was confused because I was like, am I missing something? Why is everyone not doing this?"
Yeah.
I feel like parking was more expensive than the program.
Uh-huh, exactly, yeah. That's really a good option for people that are looking into being estheticians. On this podcast, we have a lot of followers that are already estheticians and then people that are wanting to become estheticians, and they're on that planning journey. We talk about, how you plan out and you kinda manifest your life, and if you're not at the position in life yet where you can afford school or you can afford to open the business or buy into a product line, you can educate yourself through other means. So just knowing about that program and programs like that are very helpful for people that are, maybe on a budget or uh, not even maybe on a budget, just want to get education. It's a great education,
Yeah,
whether it's
it truly is a great education. I say that to say, yes, I did learn a lot, but yes, the passing rate for the test was the most important piece, and I never stopped learning after that, which I think is the biggest key. But yes, it was a good education as well.
yeah, yeah, save that money and use it towards purchasing a wonderful product line like DMK and attend those education programs that they offer. That's where you're going to learn the heart of what you do, I feel like.
Yes, definitely.
Now, we also have children in the entertainment industry, and you and I
Yeah,
both are in the entertainment industry also. So there's that tie in as well, which is
yes,
fun.
which is very Los Angeles.
It's
Even
very
though you
LA. Yeah.
didn't live in Los Angeles the whole time by any means, and you lived in it's Arkansas, yeah? Yes. But yes, I would say that in comparison to many and yourself and your family, I would say we are entertainment light. We
Hmm.
definitely dabble a little bit. But yes, my son was on a television show when he was 2.5 to 3. And I do some voiceover work for audio description. My son is also visually impaired. So I have a connection to the visual impairment community where things like audio description on film and television really play a crucial role for the community and beyond. So I do voiceover for that, and I love it.
Yes, that's wonderful. Can you say the show that your son was on?
Oh, yes, he was on This Is Us, season 6. He plays a character named Jack Jr., who's a little boy. He has his own episode. Episode 11 is he's the primary actor in that episode. It was all very unexpected, and he did incredible, and we were very lucky to be a part of a very successful show. Season 6 was the last season, so we had all the fancy things, a well-oiled machine, trailers, food, like, nice things. It was definitely not the my first job was, hard in acting. It was, like, the easiest thing it could have been. It's actually kind of hard to go backwards.
Yeah. After having a really good experience like that, I'm
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah,
That's great. Yeah, I've
definitely.
watched those episodes and he is really good. He's so
Thank
good, so
you.
cute.
Yeah, he
Yes.
we had no idea, so, yeah, it was great.
Yeah. That's great. He's
Yeah,
meant for
absolutely.
LA.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And now another tie-in is, our background both of us, have a bit of a Murad background. You have a lot of a
Yes,
Murad background. I have a
yes,
little bit of a Murad background. I sold Murad at my spa in Arkansas, and I really enjoyed working with that line and still enjoy that line. It's a nice line. So, yes, we have that. You actually got to work with Doctor Murad, though.
yes. I worked with Murad for 10 years. I had a little break in between, so it was kind of like 5 and 5, but yes, it was really the line that allowed for me to be curious and grow in my passion and extend my skill set for, not only professional aesthetics, which is its own category in the industry truly, but that retail side is where I started, and I grew from there. I actually worked at the Murad Spa in Los Angeles while I was getting my aesthetic license. And I think this is something we hear industry wide a lot. You'll have our spas, my accounts that have a front desk position. And a lot of times the hiring manager or the owner will be like, we're looking for someone for front desk, but we often are getting estheticians who really just want to be an esthetician here and they're trying to get their foot in the door as someone front desk, which isn't a bad idea. And it is an approach that I took somewhat with no guarantees. But I think that the beauty that that afforded me was the full front of house, back of house flow, the engagement with the client and the product recommendations and the supporting the service provider, the opportunity to really understand what it meant to actually work with the service providers and see what income potential was there with service, with pre-booking, with doing everything to a T that spa ran beautifully. Actually, interestingly enough, what it takes to work for a professional and with one singular professional skin line that carries everything you might need to service your client. And that is, organically what I have found a home in with DMK. But my time with Murad was incredible. Dr. Murad himself is an incredible man. I still see him from time to time. He is, and I like to tell people, he started Murad when he was 50. And I think that that's so inspiring. I think a lot of us, just with the state of the world and the chaos and the confusion, and I think this happens every generation truly in its own way, but you feel like it's not working or you're running out of time and you're not. You're not. Now, mind you, Dr. Murad was a doctor before 50, so it's not like he was just doing nothing prior to becoming 50 and starting Murad Skincare. But it truly is a testament to, passion, believing in yourself and taking chances and being able to become a multitude of versions of yourself. You are not stuck or stagnant. And I really find that inspiring and is probably the biggest thing that I took away from working there for that long.
Yeah, it's really nice. I love that. I love that he's an artist. I like
Yes.
to look at his artwork. I keep up with him, and his artwork is beautiful. He has obviously lots of interest, which is always
I
fun.
think even from what we learned, because that was ingrained a lot in, I had the really, I was fortunate enough to work in pretty much most avenues of that company. And I worked a little bit out of corporate, not in the office per se. Like, I do not, this energy is not housed by a building alone. So I could not work in an office full time. But I was able to go to corporate quite a bit and I worked out in the field. But I truly, it is about the art, but it's more about the freedom to let yourself be creative without borders, without judging yourself. Being uniquely you was the bigger message that he had. And that being able to just let go is a healing stress for skin that goes well beyond product. And is truly about kind of managing that stress. Do you feel like when you were with Murad, did you feel like you received that message from afar with your
I
time with them?
I definitely did. I felt so supported. I love that their back bar is a very specific back bar. They have their color code everything. They make it. They try. It seems like they think they have thought of different steps along the way that will help the esthetician in the treatment room, which I really appreciated. Very similar with DMK, honestly. They're very have that similar sort of support of the esthetician, really support them. And we had a great educator that came in and on a very regular basis and helped us out. Her name was Laura Carter. And
Mhm.
shout out to Laura Carter. She was
Yeah, shout out to Laura
fantastic.
Carter.
Yeah, she was great. And it was absolutely wonderful. And just the positivity that Laura encapsulated in her approach to coming into the spa and looking around and helping me out with placing orders and really figuring out our region where we were, what types of products and maybe needed a little more of, and then some things that I probably needed less of. And, I definitely felt a lot of support there. So, yeah, it was, and then just um, following Dr. Murad and his journey and just how he approaches things and how he would have there would be these cute little quotes that he would have that would come out, and that always kind of would touch your heart and make you feel like, I'm not just a machine, I'm not just, in the
Right.
treatment room, you know, um, a lot of places kind of make you feel that way, it seems like. I know when I first got started, one of the first places I worked at, it was very McDonald's. It was very, you put 2 shakes of salt on, you put 2 shakes of this
There's a formula, you follow
cleanser.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you stand up straight, and you keep lip gloss on, and you act like a little robot, and that is not me. That might be some people, but that's not me, so, yeah, I really appreciate the product lines like Murad and DMK.
I do think that there is, speaking to that, there is a bit of well, two things. One, when you have been in the industry as long as we have, I think that the whole idea is to grow and learn off of what you started at, take bits and pieces, and continue to change and grow in the course of your career as a provider, as a career woman, whatever it might be. And I think the other thing to note about that is everything has a place. Everything has a place in this industry. So even the cookie cutter, systematic, robotic
Yeah.
wham bams, they definitely are not what I'm inclined to enjoy, but they have a place. They typically have an affordability as well and an accessibility that, yeah, that is absolutely fine. It's just not where I want to go or what I want to do. But I almost feel like in many ways, especially coming out of aesthetic school, unless you had a real solid plan, it is nice to learn that about yourself. And I think that that's what the beauty of working in many different places. I did work in an office for 6 months of my life, and I was like, "Oh, well, now I know this is not for me." I did PR for a wine company in Sonoma County for a while, a year, and I was like, "I thought this is what I wanted to do with the rest of my life." And it is not. So I do think it's important, for those that are especially on the newer side to give things a try if you have the opportunity to see what really drives you and what absolutely does not.
So now looking back on all these years of experience, um, and the education that you've had throughout your years, and the places that you've worked, why DMK? Why did you choose that company?
Well, I left the industry entirely. I left the industry entirely because I was really disenchanted. There was a huge shift in the market with a change from lines, and the line that I did work for so long, and a couple of others that I had worked with. They really changed to focus heavily on retail and pull away from as much support of the professional. And that was really very hard for me to see. And as the person who was the communicator, the touchstone, the point person for the brand, to have to continue to share disappointing news as to why the provider could no longer make a living off of carrying just that line and providing the services they were providing was disheartening. I had my first pregnancy, which I lost, and then I had my first child. So, in between that time, which is a very life changing time with those two events, I was able to take a step back and say, like, what is important to me? What do I love about this and what I do? And I took a step back and I left. And that worked out fine for me for a while. And it was about almost 3 years that I was out of the industry, and a lot changes in that time. But I will say I was number one in sales for this company that I work for. It was an education company. So we're talking education for like elementary, like school education. It was an education company. I was top sales. We had our annual sales meeting in January of that kind of third year. And as you know, big events, big annual events, big seminars, like annual meetings, like those are the times that you feel the most excited. And I went to mine and I was like, want, you know? Not inspired. And part of my success has come from my authentic enthusiasm. And I decided to go on LinkedIn and I changed my little button that said open to new opportunities or something like that. It's one of those. And I, in 2 weeks following, received a message from a recruiter reaching out about a professional skincare line that they thought I was a great fit for and would I like to learn more. And that is dun dun dun, drum roll, that was DMK. And I was contented in the job that I was in, but I was not happy per se. But I made a good income. I had great benefits, it supported my family, et cetera, et cetera. But so, with that being said, I wanted to make sure that I really researched a line that was going to be able to bring me back to the industry that I did love so much and that I dearly missed, but that I wasn't willing to put aside the comfort that I had for something that didn't hit all the marks. And I was pretty suspicious. And I did a lot of research, and the recruiter was wonderful. And they definitely encouraged that I do that. And I took a deep dive on the internet on the brand, what they were about science wise, what they were about product line wise, but more so what they were about in regards to the relationship with the professional. the big turning point for me that made me say yes to continuing on in the interview process was watching the just out of COVID, the first awards ceremony and event that they had that was all online. I watched this like 2-hour video on YouTube. I just couldn't stop watching it. And I was really enamored by Drew's hair, which, if anyone's familiar with DMK, you'll know what I'm talking about. His fantastic hair, which I spoke to him about when I interviewed in person. But I was impressed and excited and didn't fully understand how I didn't know about DMK, prior to me leaving the industry. And I think timing is, of course, everything. And here we are today, almost 3 years later, and it was absolutely the right move. But I think, like with any company, whether you're going to work for the company directly or be carrying the line or be representing, doing your research is really really important. And I definitely took a lot of time to do that.
Yeah, that's great. That's so DMK, their training that they offer for their estheticians when you buy in, is incredible. It's one of I've worked with several lines over the years, and DMK is definitely for education, always like, because people ask, they're like, "What did you think about that?" "Is it what" which and I'm always like, "DMK education for sure," because you, it's like education on steroids, where
Yeah.
you have other lines that are they teach you the product, really, not always, some lines don't even
No,
do
not
that.
always, which I've learned,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, but, a lot of lines, they'll teach you the product, but the and a little bit of skin. Where DMK, when you spend a good 2 days at least just
And I
going
wish we had more. No one has
yeah.
that much time really
No, yeah.
for as often as we do it, but the approach is incredibly different. My roots come from education. That is how I was so successful in sales. I detest sales, to be honest. It always infuriated me in interviews and in, promotions and things when people are like, it was always sales. And I was like, "Ugh." Traditional sales is not for me. The reason I thrive in sales is because it comes from authenticity, education, and passion. And when it comes to the education side for DMK, we do offer that education because although we have an expansive product line, they are just tools. Your knowledge and understanding of the skin and how to utilize those tools, quite frankly, even if you are mixing and I hate to say mixing and matching because there's a lot of reasons why that's not the best all at once. It's a little bit better tiered out, but let's say mixing and matching, working with other lines and modalities, you can be extremely successful with doing that if you know what you're doing with the thing in front of you, which is the skin and not just the surface, but the inner workings. And quite frankly, as we know, as estheticians and service providers, the whole person that's in front of you, from their lifestyle to their personality to kind of what makes them go, what gives them pause, all of that is really important to understand thoroughly to be a successful esthetician that has clients for their lifetime, which I think is, as we're all learning in this economy, the goal, right? Like to have clients who are coming to you year over year that you're uncovering themselves with them and are a support system for them in all aspects. And I think that the more you know, right? Like
Mhm.
Danae says, knowledge is power. The more you know, the more successful you will be.
Yeah. So you brought up Danae. Let's talk about Danae. I love Danae.
Yeah.
He is
Yeah.
incredible. I listened to him in Vegas. That was so I talked with Marisol first before deciding to carry DMK at my place back in Laguna when I had a little spot in Laguna, and was Marisol. Of course, I was just like, yeah, she's awesome. I could tell that this could be great. Did the similar deep dive of the into the internet and just watching videos and I went to Vegas and watched Danae's presentation there, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I have not ever been," and I love going to those conferences. Like you said, they are almost always well, they are always I've always been very inspired by those skincare conferences. There's something that I take away every time I go.
Hmm.
But that year that I went, which was about, I guess 2 years ago,
2 years ago.
and yeah, it was just so inspiring, so knowledgeable, talked about the things that I'd never really even thought about as an esthetician on the things that we can do and kind of what we really do internally to the body. Focusing so much on the skin being, an organ, of course. I mean, it's an organ. We should be treating that, and just how it's just such a fascinating product line. I just
Yeah, it
absolutely
really
I
is.
love it.
It really is different. It really is. We say, DMK is for everyone, meaning that it's for everyone that has skin, but DMK is not for everyone.
Yeah.
And you really have to want to be a thinking therapist, is what we call it. But you really want to understand the dysfunction in the skin, break it down into what's going on, and be able to know what tools that you have to be able to address that. I think more importantly, it's not just the tools, but even if you see a client every week, which would be amazing, right? If we had that kind of dedication to skin, but that's still only 4 days in a month. Really being able to educate, inspire, convince is not quite the right word. I feel like inspire is better, and get a commitment from the client to have them be as invested in their skin as you are. I think is the really unlocking the true potential for a client, because 4 times a month is like only working out 4 times a month with a trainer, never eating right at home, never working out at home, never drinking water. None of that is going to be that helpful. Will it help a tiny bit? Definitely, but it's not gonna help with any long-term change, and I think that that's probably one of the biggest roadblocks and challenges that estheticians, not only ones that have been estheticians for a long time, but new ones, you have to be able to get that commitment from a client. You have to get a client to believe that they can make that change in their skin and that they're absolutely a part of it, because it's your reputation walking around there. And Denise says that all the time. They are a walking billboard for you and your work. And if it's not turning out well, that's not good advertisement.
Yeah.
So it definitely is that power to say no and the power to be confident and to be confident. And that's one thing about Danae, he's confident
Yes.
and
Yes.
it
Yes.
shows.
Yes. Yeah. And he puts that into you also, as when you're just in the room with them, you feel that energy about them and it just lights up the place and it brings, so much. If you're an esthetician out there and you're looking for a product line that one you can get great education from, not just about the product line, but also just about the functions of the skin. And then also a product line that's going to support you as an esthetician and not sell itself online all over the place. And, they even allow estheticians to price the products. It's how you want to price the products somewhat, and that's lovely. So yeah, it's such a great line. And then not only that, it's about treating the functions, the lymph flow, the circulation. It's internal detox. It's one of my most favorite treatments to have personally, just because you feel it from the inside. It's not a fluffy facial necessarily, but it kinda can be, I guess, as some people might
You
add a
can
lot of
make it,
massage to it.
yeah, you can make it as fluffy as you want. And I think that that goes to your own type of aesthetic business, right? What
Yes.
you like to
Uh-huh.
add. We have people that do
Yeah.
sound baths during, we have people that
Oh,
do,
yeah, that's a great idea.
hair masks as an add-on during, because it is a longer treatment. So you can make it, any way
Yeah.
you want. But at its core, like you said, it is treating dysfunction in the skin. It is working within the dictates of the skin. I think it's important to note that we don't ask the skin to do anything it doesn't know how to do. We are working with it, not against it, and we are making your skin better. We're making all the products that you use work better, have the opportunity to work much better than without enzyme therapy. And it truly is a unique treatment that can serve any skin condition, any Fitzpatrick, anybody with skin.
Yeah. And that going off of that, estheticians, that we sometimes struggle with feeling like we're just service providers, that we're not. Sometimes, they come in, you've got 50 minutes, you got to do this quick, you got to, at least, maybe do some extractions and, leave them with a little glow. And then you feel this sort of disservice to your client when they walk out the door, that you didn't get to spend more time with them, that you didn't get to actually help with the functions of their skin. You just kind of exfoliate, scrubbed off a little skin and, put a little product on them and they're out the door, maybe a massage, they're leaving with a feeling. A lot of times people love those kind of facials, the little fluffy buffy facials. But when you're able to really get your hands into a product line like DMK and take you do have to schedule in the time because they have to be in that enzyme mask for 30 minutes, or no, 45 minutes. You have to be in that
That
mask.
part's only 45,
That
yeah,
part,
yeah.
yeah. And, you have time to educate your client during that time, write out your prescription card, all of those sorts of things. And, you know, uh, have you found that I found personally when I was, working with DMK more in my treatment room, I went into a product line where I went to work for someone that carried a different product line. So
Yes.
I'm not, I haven't used it in a little while. However, I just opened up a new spot here in Pasadena.
So excited. Yeah, I saw that you were in Pasadena. We haven't talked about that, but yeah, I was like, "Wait,
Yeah, we
I
we
didn't
moved to
realize you guys moved."
we moved to Pasadena. So I opened up a spot about a month and a half ago, and I've just kind of been getting it together and getting it going. But yeah, I'll definitely be doing the DMK enzyme there for sure. I absolutely love that treatment. It's one of my most favorite treatments to have and one of my most favorite treatments to do. It for the reason of so much confidence. It makes me feel confident to do it because as the patient or the client is laying there on the treatment table, they feel what is happening in their body. You've explained it to them. People a lot of times are like, "Okay, that's interesting. Okay, let's do that." And then as they're laying there and it's tightening and they're feeling the pulsating and they're feeling it do its job, it's so much fun to see their little eyes open up and go, "Oh, wow, I can feel this
Yeah,
working." And you're like,
yeah.
"Yeah, you can." So, yeah.
And a lot of people say that. They're like, "Oh, I was," from maybe a classic Euro style facial. People are like, "I left relaxed and I just don't know what's really going on with my skin." And so I do wanna say this. You mentioned in the beginning talking about your clients or the people that are listening to us now and your audience. When it comes to choosing a line, when it comes to building your business and building your practice, you set up the success by setting a standard within your clinic, whatever that might be. And you can do DMK treatments that don't involve enzyme therapy. So I do like to remind people of that. Like you can do a European style facial with DMK product, no problem. Sure, enzyme therapy in itself is unique and does a certain thing, but all of it again has its place. With that being said, we really urge scheduling new business, especially, and quite frankly, if you have clients you've had for a while, scheduling them in kind of like a new client and dedicating a time for a consultation. A proper and thorough consultation that is no less than 30 minutes, that is not with your client on a table or bed. It is with your client face to face in a chair, or potentially even on a Zoom or digital if that's a tool that you have to do ahead of time. It sets up the expectation. It sets up the expectation of the client. It breaks down concerns. And it also allows for you to then facilitate a treatment within 50 minutes, give your all, do all the things, and not feel rushed because expectations are out there. The expectation is out on what I can do for your skin, what I need you to commit to, and what we're going to be working on first. And then we will reassess after a few treatments. It also really locks people into to knowing this is not a one and done. I will be back to see you. I, as the service provider, do expect that you will be pre booking and you will be coming in again. I will not be overloading you with product on your first visit nor the second or third, but we will slowly be sprinkling things in as your skin progresses and as I have reset your skin to be able to receive and utilize those active ingredients. I really, really, really can't stress enough that the consultation ahead of time as its own service with value, meaning you charge for it. It's okay if that charge rolls into a service later, or it's okay if that charge goes directly towards home care. Not a problem. But your time is valuable. The education you invested in yourself is valuable, whether it's with DMK or anyone else. And I think that consultation really unlocks a lot of that concern that you just mentioned. It
Uh-huh.
makes an invaluable difference.
Yeah. So as solo estheticians, it's a great line to bring in because you, for all of the support for one, but then also, like you're saying, when you're able to actually schedule out your own time, or as an esthetician, to be able to stand up for yourself if you're working for someone and just be able to say, we might need to add a little extra time. I know as a previous business owner with employees, I always appreciate it. I want to give people a little confidence in this area because I know that, sometimes you look at the service menu and you're like, okay, I have to do it this way. This is what I have to do. And a lot of times you might have to do it that way, but you can also have a conversation, and it's okay to have a conversation, to build the confidence to go in to your business owner, to your manager and say, "Can we edit this a little bit on the menu? Could we possibly add an additional 15 minutes? A little extra cleanup time when you're scheduling me," something like that. So I have the time for the consultation because I know personally as a new young esthetician, 20 years ago, I didn't have time for the consultation. It was 50 minutes, clean up in 10, and it was, and then they're saying, "Why don't you sell more product?" And it's like, "Well, when?" You know?
Yeah. And, you ask your client, do you want a quiet facial or do you want an educational facial? Some like
Yeah.
education, a lot like quiet. So then you miss that little window that you were able to express
Yes.
yourself maybe while a mask's that or something. So I think that one of the things that I really urge, and I think this is not industry specific, I just think this is in general, never come with a problem without a solution, right? Never bring a problem up without a solution. So, with that being said, yes, you're going to a manager and owner and just say, "Hey, I have two clients that I would really like to try this out on, or two new clients, let's say my next two. I would really love to add 15 minutes. Like, and I know that this scares some people, but the confidence is so good to have this if you're there,
Mhm.
if you can do this. So, you say, right now, I'm my, everyone calls it something different. My units per transaction, my UPT, is one or two or 1.5. Truly believe that if I add this consultation, I'm able to do these things, I can increase my UPT to 3 or 4 or double. We will see that revenue come in. It will increase my pre-booking numbers are, XYZ, maybe they're low. I can get higher, commitment, I can get higher sales with this added piece. I think it's really important to mention that because as a business owner, as you know, it's dollars, right? Time is money. And I think that employees, if they've never run their own business, can kind of also lose track of that. Like
Yes.
everything is money. And that doesn't take away like the good and the passion of what you're doing, but it's real. It's
Yeah.
absolutely real. So if you can quantify that in some way, uncover the parts that you could use improving on and come with a solution. I would love 15 minutes to do a consultation so I can set expectations up with the client. I can offer them what they want and I can bring in, let's try this for you usually need about 2 to 3 months, to be honest, just because of turnover for them coming back in for follow-ups and things like that. But you should be able to see that difference, and I think that that's a bigger piece, and thank you for bringing that up because I support a lot more single room estheticians, than I do full spas, although I do have a handful. But that is, I think, something that not every owner is going to want to respond to. Not everyone is open. But I think as a business owner, to have somebody be that confident with an idea that shares why that is a good idea and not just say, I need 15 more minutes would make all the difference.
Yeah, exactly. And, I'm sure there's probably some business owners listening that own spas
Yeah,
out there.
definitely.
Brandy has 2. She has 2 spas, and, I know a lot of people probably listened because they curious how Brandy's doing her thing, but, yeah, as business owners, it's good to take that advice too because, your employees, they're not just robots, they're not just, now, of course, the employee should honor what the business owner wants,
Definitely.
but there should be a conversation for sure because I definitely think that that makes the difference between really successful businesses and businesses that are, not as fun to work at, So it might be a successful business, but you might have a lot of turnover if you're not, listening to your employees. So, yeah, I love that you're,
Not just
that
employee
we
turnover,
thought
but
about that.
client retention. Client
Yes.
retention is a big part of it too. Like, how can
Yeah.
I keep this person long term?
I would like to ask you, what's one piece of advice, tried and true advice that you would give to an esthetician?
There's so much. I think if I had to pick one, I could really just pick what's worked best for me. And that is truly, and it's not just because I work for such an education first company, but lean into education and be re inspired. Get excited because the thing that is contagious is that excitement, and clients feel that. Your confidence comes from that. It truly is something that is never ending. You never stop learning, you never stop growing. And when you think you know everything, go back and start again because you will realize how much you missed the first time. And I think that that confidence is what is contagious. And the other piece I would say in conjunction with that is dress the part. Don't come to work sloppy. Don't come to work, looking like you just rolled out of bed. If you want to charge the money that you deserve to charge, if you want to carry a product line that is asking people to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, present yourself as someone who is worthy of that. You don't have to go all out, but I'm just talking smooth the hair a little bit, have confidence, wear a lab coat if you don't want to have a uniform, put something over it. Truly, I think it makes a world of difference because that presentation allows for people to say, hey, they take themselves seriously. And if I'm going to be coming here for services, I need to take myself seriously too. And I think that's really important. So invest in yourself, invest in your education. DMK is always happy to have you, but whatever it is, a deep dive, and the results will never be disappointing.
That's wonderful. I love that. So we usually have a tip of the week, but I'm going to say that, and this happened in our last interview also, well, that's the tip of the week right there. So thank you for
Good.
that.
Yeah, good.
Marisol, it's been a pleasure having you today. Thank you so much for joining us on Pretty Smart too, and I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, I will definitely see you soon. Thank you for having me. And if anyone wants to reach out with any questions, I'm always here to chat.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much. And there'll be a link in the bio for you all to click on to learn more about DMK.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah, thank you.